Welcome back to my channel. This is your boy Stefan, your Afro-Grenadian ambassador. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and of course comment in the comment section below. I greatly appreciate it, guys. Well, guys, in today's video, Trump cutting aid to Africa and the Caribbean has created a buzz on social media. We are going to talk all about it. What is the hidden truth behind Trump cutting aid to Africa and the Caribbean? But before we delve into all of this, let's take a listen to what he said.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China with 1.4 billion people. We have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but you know. And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President,
Pretty sad to think of it. China pays 39 million and we pay 500 million. And China's a bigger country.
Mr. President, you spoke about inflation today in your remarks. What actions are you taking today that will have a direct impact for Americans on their everyday costs to bring the cost down?
The biggest thing and factor for inflation is energy. They screwed up my energy policy, and then they went back to it. You know, they hurt it really badly, and then they went back to it, and they started drilling more, but by that time it was too late. Many of these things that we're signing and that Doug Burgum is going to be signing, and Chris Wright, who's phenomenal, you know, Department of Energy. We're going to be taking a lot, we're going to make a lot of money from energy. We have more than anybody else. We're going to make a lot of money from energy. We're going to make a lot of money from tariffs. You know, European Union charges us, they have a VAT tax of 20%, but it's really much higher than that. And that's the equivalent, almost the equivalent of a tariff. And they're tough. They're very tough. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take almost anything. And yet we take their cars and we take their farm product. We take a lot from them. So, you know, we have like a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. So we'll straighten that out with either tariffs or they have to buy our oil. The one thing they can do, or oil and gas, the one thing they can do to catch up quickly, buy our oil and gas.
Will you travel?
And they should do that.
Will you travel to China this year?
Yeah, I could be. I've had the invite.
President Xi invited
I would do
you
it,
to
yeah.
come this year.
Talking about the European Union and the tariffs, like, what do you mean when you say that the European Union country, like, think is part of BRICS?
That a what?
BRICS. You said
Oh, BRICS. No, I was talking about BRICS. BRICS are 6 nations. I think it's 7 nations. And they were looking to do a number in the United States. And if they do that, they won't be happy about what's going to happen to them.
So does this decision that Trump have taken has a lot to do with China's influence in the world, most so particular in the Caribbean, because China has a great influence in the Caribbean and also on the continent of Africa? Well, whatever it is, I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm here to talk about is what no one is talking about, is that this cutting of aid has its downside and its upside. One of the things that is good about this aid being cut off from the Caribbean and Africa is this. Before I go into that, let me speak about the downside. The downside of the aid cutting off from the Caribbean and Africa is that America has demonstrated they don't care about us black people. They don't care about Africans. They don't care about Caribbean people. So that's one thing we get clear. that the Trump administration does not care at all about the Caribbean and black people on the continent of Africa. So black people in the Caribbean and black people on the continent of Africa. Now, the upside of this cutting of aid from to Africa and the Caribbean is this. I am happy in a sense that a lot of our corrupt politicians will no longer have the opportunity to exploit the people, to fill their pockets and enrich themselves while the local population suffers. And that's one thing I like about what he did, is that it has decreased the opportunity for corruption when these aids are given, whether in a financial form or in a materialistic form, you know, where however these aids come. Most of the time, the poor people does not benefit. Most of the time, the average man or woman does not benefit from these kind of aids, especially financial aids. So that's one thing I like about what it, that's one truth. Not like, but that's one of the truth about Trump cutting aid to the Caribbean and Africa, that our corrupt politicians cannot have that opportunity to deceive and manipulate the people in enriching themselves. Number two, now that our corrupt politicians do not have that opportunity, or that opportunity has lessened drastically in enriching themselves, what this leaves? Now, what this leaves is that our politicians have no choice but to, you know, to study their people. They have no choice but to better the people. They have no choice but to develop their people, rather than leaning on the West, leaning on Europe for help. This is a good opportunity now, and that's the overall truth I want to speak about. This is a good opportunity now where Trump and his administration, America at large, is demonstrating they don't care about Africa and black people in Africa and black people in the Caribbean. This is the opportunity now where we can focus on being sovereign, you know, developing ourselves, uniting as one, being self-sufficient, self-reliant, and resourceful. Because when there is a less interference of Western powers, it gives us a better opportunity to develop ourselves as a people. I think Trump is doing us a good. Now, I keep stressing that on my channel. Guys, believe me when I tell you, some of these things that Trump are doing, for those of us who have understanding, it's a good thing for us. Because where he does not want any business to do with us, he cut aid, he do everything, which is something I support, because too much of the times we rely on this outside aid when we have what it takes to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. So now, with this decision that he have taken by signing this executive order in cutting aid to Africa and the Caribbean, we can seize that moment, seize that opportunity to do away with the West and Europe once and for all, come together, focus on ourselves, and develop ourselves. That is the truth. That is, I wanted to talk about, you know, in regards to, you know, all these social media buzz that I'm seeing. Everybody's talking about Trump cut aid, and this and that and this and that. But it is a good thing for Africa, and it's a good thing for the Caribbean. Now it's time for us to practice what we have been preaching. We have been preaching a lot of unity, self-sufficiently, resourcefulness, and that we as black people have what it takes. Now Trump is lessening his interference, his influence when it comes to the Caribbean and Africa, and he's basically saying, look, you guys are on your own, find ways to survive, find ways to develop yourselves, find ways to be sovereign. This is a good thing that I believe we as black people in the Caribbean and Africa, this is an opportunity for us to embrace and seize. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you. Take care. Until next time.